be talking about the youth and mental health, just kind of asking these awesome kids around me what's going on in their lives and how we can be more a part of that. And so I'm just going to start off by just letting everybody kind of introduce themselves. So I'll start.
My name is Trinity. I'm 11 years old, and I'm in 5th grade going to 6th, which is at the moment. But yeah, that's me. I like art, I like photography, and yeah.
I'm Brendan, and I am in 5th grade.
My name is Tasia, and I'm in 11th grade.
My name is Aiden, I'm in the 9th grade.
My name is Charlie, and I'm in the 6th grade.
My name is Elijah, and I'm in college.
My name's Nate, and I am in 8th grade.
My name is Andrew. I'm in the 6th grade.
Awesome. So just to kind of start off, I know the last 2 years have just been really different for the world, for me as an adult. It's been difficult, and so I know it has had to be tough for you with COVID and just changes in school. And so I just kind of want to know, like, how have things been with school, like COVID, the virtual schooling online? Just can you tell us a little bit about how things have been for you as kids in school going through all of this? Does anybody want to start?
To me, stressful, mostly because you have all these mandates and stuff going on, so it's kind of harder to learn. And when we went virtual, it made it difficult because so many people didn't have internet, so it would go in and out, and then so much work. And now it makes it easier that we don't have the masks now because of we are able to actually hear the people who are talking and listen to what they're saying.
Charlie?
I would say it makes me mad because teachers grade stuff late, and they make my parents specifically get on me, and that's just stressful.
Okay. Yeah. Anyone else want to share? Jenny?
To me, it's stressful because on like it would be like 3 of us working on internet, so it would be challenging for them to listen to me and have my interactions to class now that we're back in school. And in person, it's easier for me to like do my work and not be late. And like Charlie said, our teachers wouldn't grade stuff on time, so but now it's the teachers grade stuff on time because we're like in person.
Okay.
I found it kind of stressful because also interacting wise, like it's harder to figure out how to talk to people like sometimes because it's awkward already, and then you were out for so long that you have to talk Zoom wise, and so it's more work focused, and still even then you have to stay at home and then go back to school not knowing if you're going to wear masks or not, so you can't really figure out how to talk to certain people sometimes.
Yeah. So it sounds like kind of the common denominator there was stress. Just the whole thing was just a stressful experience. And so I'm wondering, what are some other things that are stressful or cause anxiety for you guys?
The part when it comes to outside of school, when people start picking on me, so I tell them that I'm saying in my head that I'm not what you're calling me,
Yeah.
and I'm smart
You are smart, yeah.
because I made it all the way to the 6th grade.
Yeah. That's true.
Another thing that is very like what Charlie was saying, people like pick on you and say that you're not this or you're not that, but you like in your mind you're like, how do you, and you first meet somebody, they get to know you, and then when you start to get to know them and then they start picking on you, you're like, yeah, was I really supposed to meet you or anything? And like they start picking on you and they call you names and stuff, and you're like, how do you know this about me if you haven't really got to interact and know me well? And like basically what I'm trying to say is it like you're trying to tell them that you're not what you think I am, but you just see the outside of me, which is not what personally I am.
Yeah. Does anybody else want to talk about anything, Nathaniel?
I would say it's not that they pick on me, because I know that it's not true, but it's like the test, I would say, for me, because I do study, I remember most of this stuff, but I guess it's like on a test I'll get to it, and then my mind goes blank. It's like I don't remember half the stuff that I already knew. So I would say that would be the most stressful part. And then we are getting near the EOG, so we have to remember all this stuff. And then they expect us, not everybody, but most of them expect us to remember everything about it. So I guess, yeah, that would be the stressful part.
Okay. Charlie, did you want to say something else?
And another thing I want to say is I want to thank God because he brought me all the way through the stuff that in the mist, and now I'm out of the storm that I was in.
Yeah, amen. That's awesome.
For me personally, like, I think, like, being in, COVID and doing school online, and everything, I think just being at home or not, like, surrounded by my own peers and stuff, I think, like, because of that change, I developed a lot of anxiety, and it's kind of hard going back into school. And knowing that I've, like, developed that, it's like, it's kind of stressful for me. So I think, like, unresolved things that, like, I just kind of had to move through, that's kind of stressful.
Yeah, that kind of sums up, like, a whole bunch of, like, all COVID stuff. Like, it just kind of happened. We didn't know what was going on, and then we were just expected to kind of keep going, to kind of just wait for the next thing to do to feel safe. And so that definitely created a lot of anxiety for me, just working and stuff. So I can only imagine how hard that was for you guys as kids to not know what was going on and have to look to adults who didn't necessarily know what was going on, and just kind of feeling that out. So I definitely can understand that. Does anybody else want to share anything on that? No? Okay. So I heard a lot of, I heard anxiety, I heard stress. It seems like there's some pressure. What do you guys do when you feel that? Like when you feel something is stressful about a test, or there's an interaction at school that causes you anxiety? Like what do you do to get through that? You want to go, Charlie?
I just get on my knees and I start praying, because sometimes it gets the test, like it's stuff on there that you haven't learned yet. Because we had a pre-test today in science, and it was something about your ear, and we didn't learn about our ears yet, so that was kind of confusing.
Yeah. Okay, so praying, yeah.
But I still did a good job, and I got an 80 on it.
Whoa. Well, congratulations.
I want to say the same thing as Charlie, but like they don't really talk about the stuff that's on the test, like an assignment we had to do yesterday. It was like we didn't know what it was, something with weather and science, but we didn't know what it was, and she expected us to get it right. So like it was like a hard thing for us not to like go into the test and know what it was about.
Yeah. Anybody else? Yeah. Okay.
I would just try, because it would be, for me, it's easier for me to not think about it, like clear my mind first and then get back into it. That way I still have stuff, like my mind's empty, I don't have to think about that. And then, because I'll like think about if I get a good score or not, what'll happen. So I'll just try, and then I'll just pray. And because I most likely would not pray before, which I should start doing. So yeah, that'd probably be the best thing. That would help me too.
Okay, so prayer for you too.
Prioritizing wise, like it's like a bit much sometimes because certain questions like have so much in them that you kind of have to figure out step by step, even if it doesn't give you guidelines. Like if your teacher says it should have everything on there, like to convert certain things, and then there's nothing on there and you haven't learned it yet, but she still expects like a certain score or like certain things from you, and you still have to prioritize certain things that sometimes they say they struggle with, but they expect you to do it, and you're younger than them and everything, so it's kind of harder.
So it kind of sounds like there's a lot of pressure still. You guys have found some ways to kind of navigate that, but it seems like you're doing that in a way to meet expectations that aren't always made clear to you guys. Do you feel like you're under a lot of pressure because of different expectations from different places, like your teachers or your parents?
I think so.
Yeah.
That probably would be the most of the problem, but I feel like I know I can get through it, so I just try not to think about it too much. Like, will I do good on this or will I do bad? Or I guess for me, I try and see before I get to that, not realizing that there's already a person who knows. So yeah.
Okay, Charlie.
Okay, so I try and not like try and fight my sleep, because one night I was up playing on our console, and when I woke up that morning, it felt like my knees were hurting because I was standing up while we were playing. So when I was went to school, I started to doze off and stuff, so I try not to do that.
Yeah, so you try to make sure that you get your sleep.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's important.
As far as like expectations wise, I think I have a lot more expectations of myself than like a lot of other people do, but I feel like once again, like that's from like some unresolved things that I haven't quite gotten back to for myself. So I'm trying to, I guess, work on that and try and prioritize what could make me personally better for myself.
Yeah.
Like she said, it expectation wise, it's you expect more from yourself because your parents and your teachers have pushed you to those limits to where you expectate yourself to do better. But when you get to that test or get to that exam or something or check-in, you get like so anxious and start and want to like you're not ready for it. You seem like you're not ready for it, and you're trying to like keep yourself confident and work through it.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm just curious, when you guys went back to school, like you were doing virtual and then you started going back to school, did your teachers did they talk to you about, coming back to school? Did they ask you how you felt about the transition from virtual or any of that, how you were doing or dealing with that? Did any of your teachers have those conversations with you?
Yes, they did, because for some people it's kind of hard for them to switch just like that, even though we were out for a while. And I'm reflecting this to myself too, because I was doing good in all with all my classes when we were doing virtual, and then I started to drop. I'm still trying to work on that though.
Yeah. Trinity?
Like some teachers will help you with that, but some of them will be like, there's no excuse for certain things, even when you're trying to figure something out. But like at the same time, it's a whole different thing. If you're not trying, like if you keep saying the same thing and I'm trying to learn something, it gets kind of hard sometimes because I comprehend things differently sometimes than somebody else, like the next person.
Yeah, I'm with her. They try and tell you what you can and can't do when like you already like you just like we just came back not too long ago, and I like most of my teachers because they knew I could do it, but they also helped me through it, just like my parents did. So, what I'm really trying to say is, like, y'all try and put pressure on us, but we comprehend like slower than other people, or some of us may comprehend faster. So, like, they have to give us time to do one thing, like, or go back or come and help us to that with that lesson or whatever, to show us what we're doing wrong or show us what we need to do right, like need to do in order to catch it.
Do you guys do you feel comfortable like communicating those things to your teachers? Do you feel like they listen to you when you try and talk to them?
No, I don't. They like try to fix the situation, but as your perspective as the kid, as the student, you're like, that helped a little bit, but like you didn't resolve the problem, because like, say like in my class we have tons and tons of problems in our class, so we get in trouble a lot, and like it evolves around our like teamwork, because like we get into a lot of teamwork projects. So when we're like into teamwork projects, a lot of us don't communicate well with each other because of, like you said, COVID hit and we didn't expect it. So a lot of us we didn't expect us to come back this early. So they didn't expect us to be back in. So when it was like that, you were still getting used to it, and in a way to where like you, how do I put this? Yeah, y'all know what I mean.
Yeah,
right.
we got you.
But yeah.
Trinity, you want to say?
I wanted to say that, like, one of the worst things is comparing, like, another kid to another kid, because everybody understands and takes things a different way. So it's kind of like one of the worst things you could do possible, because I'm not the next person. So
I feel like it depends on the teacher, and like I had this biology teacher, like he was asking us like what like he could work on, and we would like give us like less work because he would give us like 3 assignments a day, and I feel like a teacher would make or break the class. So,
yeah, that's true. So go ahead, Charlie.
I was gonna say I'm comparing this to out of school hours too, because when we do something wrong and we go back home and our parents get mad, because Nick, our baby brother, went upstairs by himself once, and our parents got mad, and when we tried to describe what happened, it didn't. They said I didn't want to hear it.
Yeah.
And that just makes me frustrated.
Yeah.
I don't like it because teachers assume and they don't talk to the kids. Because some kids like have problems and issues outside of school, and they just some of them, not every teacher, but some of them already assume what the kid is going through. Because some kids act the way they do, and I don't think because they're trying to be bad. They act the way they do because the teachers don't understand why they do it or
Yeah.
what's going on with
Yeah.
their lifestyle outside of school.
You guys brought up some really good points, and so I kind of want to ask, like, how do you feel talking about or talking to adults in general? So, like, your parents, us here at the church, just adults in general. How do you feel talking to them, telling them, this is what I need, or this isn't working for me? Like, what is that like for you?
Well, I've grown up here, so I'm kind of like around 10. I've started to get more used to talking to adults than I have people my age. So I think that's been both good, but also caused me some problems.
How has it caused you problems, do you think?
I still relate much more to people around my own age, but like when I speak, I always speak at a like older person level.
Yeah.
And that's kind of been annoying to me until recently, now that I've graduated, but
Yeah.
still is, yeah.
Like Eliza said, you aren't in, like, I don't think like you said, why are you, like, the kids just, like, they're not trying to be bad, they just don't know, the teachers just assume their lifestyle, like Nate said, and they just assume, and, like, it doesn't really solve the problem, and that's why us as kids don't come to parents and teachers as often, because we try to fix it on our own, like y'all say, but when we come to y'all, it's like y'all like assume the problem, what's going on, so they're like, it's a little bit of help, but sometimes it's no help.
Do you feel like the adults around you, they don't listen to you when you try to talk to them about certain things?
My teacher.
Your teacher? Okay. Trini?
Sometimes it depends on the adult and like how open they are, because sometimes with certain teachers, like some people can express themselves to certain teachers, but other people are iffy about it. But the second that they're asked about it, it's like, I don't really want to talk about it, and then it's kind of forced. So it's kind of harder to talk to certain adults. So it depends on who it is.
Yeah, Charlie?
I was gonna say, like, when people, we were reading a book in Honors ELA, and I was starting to get into it. The name of it is Two Roads, and the kid didn't want to get his hair cut. So what the teacher does when she's cutting his hair, he said, the quote in the book was, he said that when she was combing his hair, it felt like blood was gushing out of his head. That's how hard she was putting the pressure on him. And so when one teardrop fell, she was gonna assume that he was half blood when he was actually full blood, and he had Creek brothers, so I got down about that too.
Yeah. Do you feel a lot of pressure, Charlie, just in general in life?
Yes, because like it's not referring to a barbershop, but some people, when they're cutting your hair, they're mad and they kind of like take your anger out on you instead of telling somebody what's wrong so they can try and help and fix it.
Yeah. Go ahead, Nathaniel.
This is me. This is just me. To me, it is kind of hard because you honestly don't know how or like what to say to that certain. So you'll go to someone else because you're not really that comfortable telling someone. So like me, sometimes I'll talk to my parents or mom, and sometimes I'll go to my aunt or maybe a teacher to help me out, like a teacher I really trust. And that helps me sometimes get through the problem that I'm going through.
Yeah.
Nate, like Nate was saying, I would go to a parent most likely rather than a teacher
Okay.
or an aunt, because like when I go to a teacher, it's like the teacher and problems. I go to my mom more than I go to my teacher because that of the problems that happen at school, because like I feel like the teacher's not gonna listen to me, or the teacher's not gonna to respond to the situation as it's supposed, like I think it's supposed to be handled. Because like when you're like, say somebody's arguing with you and you're like trying to get your point across but they're not listening, that's what you feel like. That's what I feel like personally when I'm talking to a teacher. Like I'm trying to get my point across, but like the teachers keep cutting you off and like they won't let you talk and stuff. But like when I go to my mom, she's more open and more problem solve. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So definitely it sounds like, not listening is something that happens a lot at school. Do you guys, and I know some of you have mentioned that you talk to your parents, do you guys feel comfortable talking to your parents about pretty much anything, or are there things that maybe not so much?
Depends on why I'm talking to them. Because sometimes, like, if you get in an argument with your parents, and then sometimes, and I don't want to be rude about this, but it's true, and it gets on my nerves, but, like, they don't want to listen specifically to what you have to say, and I'm trying to help my parents, or, like, somebody, like, mainly my parents, get, like, used to that, so I can come to them more about what I want to say to them instead of like going to like my grandparents or aunt, because I want to tell them more but don't know how to.
Okay.
Good about talking to my parents because like when somebody dies, I start to lean over on my mom and she's like, get up off me, what are you leaning on me for? And then I go to my dad or my uncle and they accept that because they get what I'm feeling. Because like when you are at a certain funeral and it's somebody you care about, you'll bend over because it starts to hurt because some of them people cared about you. And it would be wrong if somebody was to walk up to the casket while you were looking at it and shut it.
Yeah, so
while you were looking at the body and they just close it while you looking at it.
I wanna like Nate said, certain things that I would go to. It depends on what I'm talking to my parents about. What I'm talking to my parent about, like, cause like when you, like, certain stuff you don't want to talk about, and certain stuff you do, because I feel like if it gets too stressing about something that's going on at school or something that's going on in general, you like go to your parents because they're more trusted than anybody you know, because you're around them most of your day. So like you go to them for more advice and things that come up, because like when things get too like when things get too stressful, it like gets complicated, and when it gets complicated, it just takes too much to figure out, so you go to somebody and talk to them about it.
Yeah. Trinity?
It also depends on like I'll go to a friend sometimes for certain stuff, and I'll go to an adult. Like, it also depends on certain respect levels. Like, you treat your parents different than you would treat your best friend. Like, so you can feel open to certain stuff that you feel open, more open to your parents, and vice versa to your friend.
Like,
Yeah.
go ahead, Charlie.
I agree with Trinity because at one point I had a friend like that. And it's hard to get through people like that because when they are not telling you anything or explaining it, I tell them I get it that you don't want to talk about it. And then when they get out of that mood, they'll talk about it. So
Yeah.
I have open feelings for some of my friends.
Okay, and so I just want to ask one question because I've heard you guys have shared so many of your experiences with me, but in that you've also talked about a lot of different emotions. So we talked about stress, we talked about feeling anxious sometimes, even frustrated. And so I'm curious, have any of you ever felt depressed or felt any anxiety, and how do you cope with that?
Like I do. It's not really me feeling depressed because when my dad died, it wouldn't be like depressing. I think mainly both of us, me and Andrew, would just shut ourselves off from everybody and not want to talk to anybody. So like, it would be hard for us to like, explain it.
And just before Charlie goes and everything, I want to say like depression does come in many forms. So I wouldn't necessarily want you to exclude that. I'm not telling you to self-diagnose yourself or anything like that, but I am saying that don't rule out that you may feel have a period that's that strong because of your own grief in that situation. So I say that isolation is a sign of depression and stuff like that. So don't necessarily rule out or try to undermine how you felt in that moment.
Yeah.
So when my granddad died, right after that day, we were in my aunt/cousin's hotel because we were going swimming the next day. So when they were talking in the living room, my dad and my mom and my uncle was in the kitchen drinking wine. So I started to lean over on my mom, and she didn't like that. So when I went over to my uncle, because I loved my uncle so much that when I was a baby, I cuddled up under him, and I went to sleep.
Yeah.
So that was kind of tough.
Okay, and then, so I just want to ask a question. So, like, when people say words like depression or anxiety, what do you guys think those things are? Do you hear those words often?
Anxiety a lot because like when I get angry, you'll easily notice it. I go into and I wouldn't call it an attack mode, but I get offended by it, and then it would just make me very angry and have a lot of anger. So I hear that a lot.
I hear anxiety, but if I get anxious, I'll just hum or tap my pencil or something because that'll show me. But it helps me too. And then depression, I do hear that too, because sometimes I will get depressed, but it's on certain things, like for our grandma's funeral, or like our granddad's. So it depends on when, the occasion of which something happens, or for that person or thing. So yeah, that would most likely be where I've heard them.
Okay.
Me personally, with anxiety, like, I get kind of shaky when I have anxiety, so it's kind of more of an, like,
People can tell.
right, like, it kind of shows, like, you feel a certain way, but anxiety can be for different people. Like, it can show up in different ways, so it's harder to communicate that.
I would say I hear anxiety, and I'm putting this on myself too. I try not to hold in my stuff that, like, when I get mad, I try and not suppress it and
Yeah.
put it into a fight or anything. So I
Yeah.
just talk it out with a teacher, or I'll step outside and I just have my moment.
Yeah. it's a good-
Anxiety, I feel like this church has actually helped me a lot with it, because like when this is the type of stuff that we as children want. We want to be more active in the church and not just sit there at doing stuff. So I think I think it helps a lot for us.
Sorry, but what he said, the church has helped a lot. It has helped me come closer to Jesus and help me understand more, because it's one thing to say it and preach it, but also to say it and preach it and help it touch you.
Yeah.
Like, even when you're away, you're still, and then writing it down, and I'm gonna have to start doing this for real, reading it over again to understand what he or she is preacher is trying to actually tell me,
Yeah.
or like the community.
Okay. Charlie.
I'm agreeing with both of them because our church, we used to do vacation Bible school, and we didn't do that anymore. So, and I'm saying this church is helping me because I met new friends, because it wasn't a lot of kids in our church like that. So I'm enjoying my time in the world that I have on Sundays here.
Yeah. And so I'm so glad that you guys mentioned the church, and just your experience here. Is there anything you could think of that the church could do to help you guys when you're trying to cope with emotional stress?
I would say they could take you. I mean, I think, like, are you talking about in church?
Yeah, just in general, what could the church do that could help you guys?
I would say let us decorate the walls and stuff.
Okay, so just doing more
Like,
stuff in the
draw,
church.
like, have a color book and everybody, like, Jesus, the First Corinthians. I would say we could just put them all over the wall
Yeah. Nathaniel?
to show how much we love them.
I would say probably put, like, that child or adult like me with somebody that is feeling the same way or that has gone through the same thing that can help you out through your problem or situation.
Yeah. That's good.
And as one of the teachers in one of the classrooms, I just want to put myself out there as a resource. I've gone through a lot of the things that you guys have. So in case you guys want to talk about anything, you can definitely come to me. I'm a pretty open person, I'd say.
I wanted to piggyback off of Nate because like he said basically what I was gonna say, but like the church involves with us, like you sit down with us one-on-one and talk about things that we that we are going through and still want to overcome. the stuff that has happened to us in the past and not let it control our future.
Okay, before Trinity speaks, you mean like a mentor program kind of thing?
Yeah. Okay. We could do that. We could do that for sure.
I was saying like, piggybacking off of basically everyone was saying, I'm like expression outlets wise, like a way to express yourself, because people express things differently. Like one of my outlets is art, like photography and sketching and things of that nature.
Aiden or Andrew, do you guys want to have anything that you think the church could do or that you'd like to see in the church?
Like just have talks like these.
Yeah. Anything? No? Okay. So you guys want to be more involved in the church. You want more experiences in the church. So those are all really good things for us to know. Do you want to say something, Eli? No? Okay. Do you want to say
I was
something?
gonna add something. Like some people I don't think anybody would agree with this, but like when it hits summer, like you could get some of the church members or some people, if people would agree with this, we could do pool parties or something.
Okay. Okay. So just more activities in general.
I think we've done that before, right?
I think
Something
we
like
did.
that.
We did. Yeah.
Okay.
I was just gonna ask a question. So if we were to do, a mentoring program to, help you guys out and express any, emotional stress that you have, what would you like to see in that? What would help you guys out in that program?
Probably for me, it might be school-wise to help me understand something more, or why I get that way when something happens, like a test, or like somebody's just not doing right to another person.
And like we could, like while we're in church, like after church, everybody could sit down and we could do Bible study.
Okay. And so just kind of maybe my last question is just, you guys have shared so much with me about your experiences, your concerns, the pressures that you're dealing with. You've even told us so many things that the church can do to help you. What advice would you give to parents on just learning how to be more involved, learning how to listen better? Aiden?
Just like try to understand where I'm coming from, because like they grew up like different than I did, and just listen and try to like relate to me.
I agree with Aiden, and something else is like, listening wise, comparisons I understand, but like specifics, like
Like trying to get people similarities.
yes, like similarities wise, like to somebody I'm close to, but like if they don't know as much about that person as I do, then it's kind of like iffy. Or if they use like somebody else in the household to compare you to, or like their own trauma, it's iffy and harder to explain to them.
So like think of you as your own person.
Andrew?
To like listen to us more and like to understand to like where we're coming from for like a situation at school or like home, or like a kid that's like not being like nice to you and like bullying you like every day.
I would say if like we're watching, so, and then we're gonna most likely do what you're gonna do and listen. So, and like the way sometimes you talk to your parents, like our parents talk to their parents. So we're gonna think, like we can do the same, or we can say most of the same things because you're doing it. So even, and like they're gonna be older than you either way, so you're gonna think you're able to talk to them the same way because you were raised that way. So
I wanted to piggyback off of Aiden, and like, because like you see, y'all see where we're coming from, but it's more like y'all don't, to us we feel like y'all don't understand, and our perspective we think y'all don't understand, and y'all show that, y'all, it seems like y'all show that more.
Okay.
I was gonna say that that you don't want to just worship God in church. You can worship Him out of church too, because sometimes people, like on Mondays, people just think it's all rap music.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can listen to gospel music in the morning while you're getting dressed and about to go to school.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for being so open and honest and talking to us and telling us what's important to you. I know as an adult at the church, it means a lot to me to understand. And just like Tasia said that she's a resource, you know, I've also gone through some depression and anxiety. So there's some things that you need to talk about. I'm here just like every other adult. And what you've done today is just really important for other kids and just families in general. So we really appreciate you being a part of that. Okay. Everybody good? Okay. Oh, and here's PJ.
Great, thank you. Can I get in on the couch here? All right, good. So I just wanted to tell you guys thank you, that I really appreciate the things you've said here tonight. We took notes and we are listening, and I want you guys to know that you'll always be listened to here at Greater Works. One of the things that I'm sure the adults have heard me say a lot, but you know, in the Bible, when Christ said, "I must be about my Father's work," y'all know that story where he went into town for the festival, and his parents didn't know he was gone, and they had to go back. It took them 3 days to go back to get him, right? And when they got there, they're like, "What are you doing?" And he said, "I must be about my Father's work," which is him saying, I know that God has something for me to do in my life. And then I always tell everybody, we don't see Jesus again until he's 30. So from age 12 to age 30, we don't see Jesus. When he was your age, when he was a teenager, you know, God said, I want to protect my son. And everything that he's going through growing up is personal. And so I just want to let you guys know, if you're ever going through anything, we're here to protect you. We love you just as you are. And that's another thing we see with God and Jesus, is that when Jesus did at 30 decide that he was going to start preaching, the first thing God said about him and to him was, "This is my beloved son, and I'm well pleased." Jesus hadn't done anything. And I just want you guys to know, here at Greater Works, you are loved just because you are. You don't have to do anything special. You don't have to jump through hoops. You don't have to be a great singer or anything. Just because you're you, just as you are loved here. And that's the way we always want to keep it. And some of you are pretty new here, but one thing, for that reason, and you guys talking about the pressure of grades, well, we don't celebrate straight A's here. I mean, if you get good grades, that's good. We're proud of you. But we think you're special for so much more than grades. And so that's why Elijah is going to continue to do something he calls the Great Kids Corner, where he's going to go and interview you guys and video and talk about the things that you love, that you're excited about, that you're great at. And that might be grades and it might not be. But if you're excited about it, we're excited about it. And we're gonna celebrate it.
And not just the kids that are here today, everybody watching right now, if you have a kid that you think should be on, we invite you. And
so we're also planning to kind of get you guys out and knowing that you have friends that support you here. And so we're gonna, do a few field trips. We're gonna have some outings, some movie nights and whatnot like that. But in all of these things that we do, we're always gonna leave a moment for you to just talk with someone. And it's confidential. Unless you're talking about hurting yourself or hurting someone else, We're not going to tell anybody. We're gonna talk to you and try to help you through what you're going through, because it's not easy. You guys, I always say this, you guys are the toughest kids ever in history. And I believe that. And you don't always have to be tough, but you have gone through more than your parents went through. You've gone through more than their parents went through. And the reason I say that is because you guys have had to deal with coronavirus. You guys have had to deal with school shootings, cyberbullying on the internet. You guys are pretty amazing just for waking up each day and doing what you do. And so we just want to be here to support you, okay? So I hope you feel supported, and if you have any ideas, we're going to try to make them happen here, okay? So I just want to say before we end tonight, I wanted to say that. I also want to thank Pash, who is an amazing, y'all give her some love. And so Pash and I have a podcast where we talk about this stuff that we're going to be releasing. And, well, she's got all the smart stuff. I just say, But Pash, she's amazing, and our podcast, No Worries, will be coming out soon. And Pash didn't quite share with y'all, but she's gone through a lot of the things that you guys are talking about. And so I think she's also a good mentor for you guys. And I also want to give some love to Tasia and Elijah. They are our youth leaders, and they're so wise in their young years. So I appreciate all of you guys, and just thank you. So with that said, I'll turn it back over to the boss.
Well, I just, like I said, really want to reiterate how amazing you guys are and how courageous it is to come up here and do this. It is really powerful what you've done. We want to encourage any families with kids or anything like that to reach out to the church if anything has sparked some conversation and you need some support. And we're just so glad that you guys were able to tune in, and I hope that you guys have a great week and a good night.
All right, everybody say goodbye. Good night.
Bye.
Cool, yeah.